Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. This is Tariq. Today we will discuss about another descriptive statistical tool, mode. Mode is also used to analyze, summarize, present and interpret the large data. Mode is used to make the data meaningful, to make the data easy to read, easy to understand. We will start from the concept of mode. What is mode? The most frequent data item of the given data set is called mode of the data set. Most frequent data item means that data item of the data set which is happening many times in the data set as compared to the all other data items of the data set. So this is called most frequent data item, and that most frequent data item is called mode of the data set. Mode is used to interpret the qualitative data as well as quantitative data. Now we are further clarifying the concept of mode by putting one example. For example, what is the mode of the data set? If the data set carry the expected salaries in dollars of the 7 graduates of the BBA department, the expected salaries are as given: $800, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, $1,400, $1,000 and $1,000. This is one example which represent the expected salaries of the 7 graduates of the BBA department at Salam universities, and this is our given data set which represent the expected salaries. Now the question is this: what is the mode of this data set? This is the data set in front of you students. $800 expectation, $1,000 expectation, $1,100 expectations, $1,200, $1,400, $1,000, again $1,000. This is the given data set. Now as we define that the most frequent data item of the data set is called mode of the data set. So in here, the most frequent data item of this given data set is $1,000. You can see from this data set that $1,000 is happening 3 times. All other expectations are happening 1 time, but only $1,000 expectations are happening 3 times. So $1,000 is occurring 3 times. This is most frequent data item, and we can say that mode of this data set is $1,000 because we define that the most frequent data item of the given data set is called mode of the data set. So let me answer to this example. Mode of the data set is $1,000. That is to say, mode is equal to $1,000 because $1,000 is the most frequent data item of the given data set. Note: in one data set, more than one modes are possible. Like for example, bimodal data set. So bimodal data set is that particular data set which carry 2 modes. In this particular data set, 2 data items are happening most frequently. 2 data items are occurring many times as compared to the all other data items in the given data set. So bimodal data set, when data set carry 2 modes, this type of data set is called bimodal data set. When 2 data items are most frequently occurring, that is to say 2 data items are happening many times as compared to the all other data items of the data set, this type of data set is called bimodal data set, and bimodal data set includes 2 modes. Let me further clarify the concept of bimodal data set using one example. For example, what is the mode of the 6 purchases of 4 soft drinks? 4 different soft drinks. In this example, we are putting the 4 different soft drinks and 6 purchases of the 4 different soft drinks. Like 4 different soft drinks are as given: Pepsi, Coke, Dew and Sprite. These are the 4 different soft drinks, and the total available observations, data items, informations about these 4 soft drinks are 6 purchases: Pepsi, Coke, Dew, Pepsi and Sprite. So these are 6 purchases. Now bi-modal data item, when the data set carry 2 modes, and mode the most frequent data item. So in here you can see, students, that Pepsi is happening 2 times in this particular data set. Dew is also happening 2 times, Dew, and all other 2 soft drinks like Coke and Sprite are happening only 1 time. So in this particular data set, 2 different soft drinks like Pepsi and Dew are happening twice, happening 2 times. It means the mode of this data set is a 2, because 2 data items are happening twice or 2 times. Let me answer this example. Answer: Pepsi and Dew are the 2 modes of the given data set. Mode is Pepsi and mode is Dew. Why? Because these 2 soft drinks are happening 2 times in the given data set. So the data set which include 2 modes, that data set is called bimodal data set. Multimodal data set: when the data set include more than 2 modes, like 3 modes, 4 modes, 5 modes, and so on. So this type of data set is called multimodal data set, where data set carry more than 2 modes. Let me read this description of the multimodal data set. When data set carry more than 2 modes is called multimodal data set. Multimodal data set is not a good statistical measure to interpret the data. Why this is not a good statistical measure? Because now we have more than 2 modes, so we cannot interpret using this much large number of modes the given data set. For example, let me clarify this multimodal data set with one example. For example, data set 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3 and 2. This is the given data set. In this data set you can see, students, that 2 is happening 2 times, 2 and 2. 3 is also happening 2 times, 3 and 3. 5 is also happening 2 times, 5 and 5. So it's mean the mode of this data set is a 3. Why? Because the 3 different data items like 2, 3 and 5 are happening 2 times. So the mode of this particular data set is a 3, mode 2, mode 3 and mode 5. So multimodal data set include more than 2 modes. And then this multimodal data set, we cannot, this is not a good measure to interpret the given data set when the data set carry more than 2 modes. Now I am further clarifying the concept of mode by putting another example, that how statistician can use mode to interpret the given large data set in group form or in classes form. So let me put this example. For example, develop the frequency distribution table for the 15 purchases of the 5 soft drinks. The raw data is as given. In this raw data set, statistician representing 5 different soft drinks and having 15 purchases of all the 5 different soft drinks. The 5 different soft drinks are Pepsi, Coke, Dew, Sprite and 7-Up. And the total data items in the given data sets are 15, means 15 purchases of the 5 different soft drinks. I developed the frequency distribution table for this raw data set because frequency distribution table is also one tool that we are using to summarize the data, to interpret the data, to make the data easy to read, easy to understand. And now the first column of the frequency distribution table represent the 5 different soft drinks, mean 5 different classes like Pepsi, Coke, Dew, Sprite and 7up. The second column define the frequencies of each class. So from this frequency distribution table, one can easily interpret this given raw data set that Pepsi frequency is a 6. 6 is the largest frequency of the entire data set. It means the sale of Pepsi is more. It means the people like Pepsi more. Pepsi is the most attractive soft drink. Its sale is more. So that is why we can say that the most frequent data item of this raw data set, that is Pepsi, because the frequency of the Pepsi is a 6. So 6 frequency means this is Pepsi is the most frequent soft drink in the given data set. The people like it. The people mostly purchase Pepsi. The sale of the Pepsi is more because its frequency is a 6, and 6 is the highest frequency, and you can say Pepsi is the most frequent data item of the given data set. So let me read this theory note. Mode is a good measure to interpret the qualitative data. This note means that we cannot interpret this given raw data set using arithmetic means average value, or you can say we cannot interpret this given raw data set using median. Why? Because if one is computing the average value for this given data set, so it doesn't make sense. We cannot calculate the average for this given qualitative information, or if one is using median to identify the middle position data item, again we cannot interpret. So mode is the only way to interpret this qualitative data. Why? Because mode we define the most frequent data item of the given data set is called mode, and in this raw data set the most frequent data item is Pepsi, because one can see from this frequency distribution table that frequency of the Pepsi is the highest frequency. This is the most frequent data item. The people like Pepsi. The people purchase mostly people purchase Pepsi. So from the given frequency distribution table, one can easily say that Pepsi is the most attractive soft drink because its frequency is high, its sale is more as compared to all other soft drinks. But if we are using arithmetic mean or median as a statistical measure to interpret the given data set, it doesn't make sense, because we cannot compute the mean value for this given raw data set. This is qualitative information and we cannot add them. We cannot add together the data items. Like we cannot compute mean of this qualitative data set. So it's mean mode is the only way that statistician can use to interpret the qualitative data, like as given that the most frequent soft drink, that is Pepsi. The Pepsi is the attractive soft drink because its frequency is high. It's mostly happening in the given data set. Now we are switching toward the mode for the group data. How statistician can interpret the particular given group data set using descriptive statistical tool mode. In this section we will learn how to interpret the group data using statistical measure mode. Mode will include in the class of high frequency, means the data is given in classes, so mode will include in that particular class of the given data set which frequency is high. The class with high frequency is called model class, or the class which include mode of the given data set. So mode for group data means we will that particular class which frequency is high as compared to the all other classes, that will include mode of the data set, and that particular class is called model class. The high frequency class is called model class. Model class is that class which include mode of the given data set. We can compute mode of the data set using frequency of the model class as well as frequency of the previous class of the model class and frequency of the next class to the model class. So this is one information that how statistician can define the mode for the given group data set. So statistician can define the mode for the given group data set using frequency of the model class, frequency of the class, previous class to the model class, as well as frequency of the next class to the model class. So with the help of these frequencies, statistician can define mode for the group data set. Formula to compute mode for group data set is as given. Mode is equal to L, where plus D1 whole divided by D1 plus D2 multiplied by C. Description of the mode formulation. I am going to elaborate the terms of this mode formulation. Where L represent lower limit of the model class, where D1 represent frequency of the model class minus frequency of the previous class to the model class, where D2 represent frequency of the model class minus frequency of the next class to the model class, where C represent class interval, where C is equal to difference of the lower limits of the two adjacent, or you can say two consecutive classes. I am again repeating how statistician can define the value of C. So C is the difference of the difference of the lower limits of the two consecutive classes. Now I am putting one example to clarify the concept of mode, that how statistician can define the mode, the average value for the given group data set, where the data is not given individually, data is given in classes form. So this is the raw data set, data is quantitative data. These information represent the audit time in days. An audit firm is conducting audit for different 20 clients, and these informations are the required number of days to complete the audit of each firm or each university. So we develop the frequency distribution table for this group, for this given quantitative data set. The first column represent the 5 different classes, and second column define the frequencies of 5 different classes. Note, as highest frequency class is third class, so third class is the model class. As we defined before this in the very beginning, that model class is that particular class which frequency is high as compared to all other classes. So in here, in these 5 classes, third class frequency is 9. This is the highest frequency as compared to all other 4 different classes. So this third class is model class, and mode include in this third class. Now how we can compute? We will calculate D1. D1 is equal to frequency of the model class minus frequency of the previous class to the model class. So model class frequency is 9 and previous class to the model class frequency is 4. The difference is 9 minus 4 implies 5. D2 again is equal to frequency of the model class minus frequency of the class which is next to the model class. So in here model class is third class, frequency 9, and next class to the model class is the fourth class which frequency is 2. So 9 minus 2 implies 7. C, again I am repeating that this is the difference of the lower limits of the 2 consecutive classes. So suppose we have the 2 consecutive classes, first class and second class, and lower limit of the first class is 12, lower limit of the second class is 16. Its difference is a 16 minus 12, which implies 4. Again you can calculate the difference of the second and third consecutive classes, lower limit difference. 20 minus 16, 4. 24 minus 20 is equal to 4. 28 minus 24 again is equal to 4. So C is the difference of the lower limits of the two adjacent or two consecutive classes. Now we will put all these information in the mode formula L plus D1 whole divided by D1 plus D2 multiplied by C. Mode is equal to lower limit of the model class, that is 20. Third class is model class and its lower limit is 20. So we substitute for L, value of the L 20 in the formulation. Now D1 is a 5. We will substitute for this D1 its value 5 in this formula. So this is 5. Whole divided by D1 5 plus D2 7. One can see from here D2 is equal to 7 and we will substitute for this D2 in the formula its value 7. So this is 7 multiplied by C, which is 4. Mode is equal to 20 plus 5 divided by 12 multiplied by 4, and mode is equal to 20 plus 1.67 and mode is equal to 21.67. So we calculate the average number of days that audit firm required to complete the audit of every firm, that is 21.67 days. Interpretation is this, that audit firm averagely required 21.67 days to complete the audit of the particular company or particular client or particular university. We can say that the audit firm need averagely 21.67 days to complete the audit of the particular firm, particular university or particular client.